Avram, over to you, sir.
Thank you. The Council on Pathways to Understanding was established in early November last year, so it's a pretty new initiative by the district. And I must say, from a personal perspective, I want to thank District Governor Mike and the rest of the district governor's strength, because for me anyway, this is probably the greatest honor that I've been given in Rotary to be a part of this amazing council. The council comprises of initially 11 members, now 13. Just amazing people, each and every one of them, great achievers. Each one has a lifetime of experiences of experiencing the causes of the formation of our council. And I'm sure you're going to hear from most of these great leaders in our Rotary district for many years to come. The logo that you see was provided or found, created by Andres Guiones. Thank you very much, Andres. And obviously, some of you might know, his wife, Veronica, is on our council as well. So when District Governor Mike formed the council, he basically gave us a very simple mission. He said, change the world of Rotary District 6980, change the way all the clubs operated in 6980, and just go ahead and do it in whichever way you see fit. It's not quite what he said, but frankly, it felt like that at the time. And some days it still feels like that. We've probably spent most of our time since November learning and educating ourselves just what is involved in this process. As I said, we created the council of 13 members, a very diverse group of members in terms of clubs represented, races, religions, ages, income levels, and it's co-chaired by Greg Gorski of Lake Buena Vista, who's on this call, and myself. We have met with an outside consultant, and I'll talk a bit more about that in just a moment. And we've begun to address the key issues of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We haven't really looked at the peace building process yet. And we had a mini survey of the first 11 participating clubs, looking at the issues of diversity, how diverse are our clubs, and for me anyway, the results of that survey were pretty interesting. I'm not going to go through it here, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. So what is our timeline? If one looks at the earliest records of Rotary, and I think most of us know the most well-known photo of Rotary, the four wise gentlemen standing or sitting around in a meeting room, we can see that Rotary from inception, 1905, has not been the most diverse, inclusive and equal organization around. So we're certainly not going to address all of these issues in 6 months or 9 months. And what I'm most thrilled about with the Council on Pathways to Understanding is that it's been established as a long-term body. Apart from the 13 members that I mentioned, we have an ongoing advisory board of the DG string. So District Governor Mike, Barry Gaynor, Andres Guiones, and now Don Harris are our advisory body. And I've no doubt that the DGs that follow Don Harris will also participate in this process. So this council has been set up as a long-term body to address these key issues. Our next steps. We are changing direction slightly in terms of what we're doing, and based on what our consultant told us is we are going to pivot towards inclusivity. So we really see inclusivity as a gateway to diversity, equality, and peace. So we are going to address that. Some introductory videos in the being prepared for that. And what you are likely to see in the next month or two, that's our aim, is we're going to have our council members visiting hopefully all 48 clubs in the district to talk in some detail about what we've done, about the survey results that we've received to date, about inclusivity. From my personal perspective, if in the next 2 months we can have every one of the 48 clubs in our district even talking about these key issues, thinking amongst themselves, what can they do to make their clubs better in these areas? How can they better serve the communities in the areas utilizing these steps? I think we'll have succeeded. So those are really the things we're going to be doing in the next month or two. I would hope that every club will invite us and welcome our participation. Finally, if you need to contact us, Greg and myself are the point people, but feel free to contact anybody in the council. They're all terrific people that have been introduced to you previously on previous presentations at the Mike's Minutes, for example. And for that, I'll throw it open to any questions if there are any.
While we're waiting for questions, Cope, I will tell you that I think, as I mentioned before, this is the most important initiative we've undertaken in a long time, maybe forever. If you've had the privilege of listening to Harry Lumpkin talk about diversity, you suddenly gain an appreciation for what we're talking about. We've asked Harry to produce a video to start off talking about inclusion, and he has a great story about inclusion, and then move to where we're moving towards diversity, equity, inclusion, and peace building. I think one thing that listening to the council members that I've come to find out is diversity is an emotionally charged, divisive word. You say the word diversity, boom, all your little filters go up, your walls go up, you stop listening, and you just start forming your own opinion. And I think that turning toward inclusion and talking about what you can do in your club and how you review, as Harry does so eloquently, I think that gives us a path. Harry, anything that you want to add, Greg? Any other council members?
No, I just want to basically say that if we can, in fact, assist any of your clubs, we'll be happy to join you either through the Zoom or through a visit. And we feel safe in the environment of dealing with Rotarians, safe from the perspective that we can, in fact, bring up the issue, talk openly and candidly about it, and hopefully we will learn something from each other and build upon the goal of making Rotary the very best that it can be.
Well said.
Greg?
Yeah, first of all, Avron, terrific job capturing the work we've done the past several months. Really, really well done. And I also just want to share kind of an aha moment for me. And it came earlier today in the Zoom call from DGE Barry. Just his invocation. When he was done that, I immediately thought of inclusion and the impact in what that has on me and my club. And I'm not sure I would have gone there in my mind 6 months ago, but being involved with Pathways kind of raised my awareness, well, not kind of, has raised my awareness of that kind of day-to-day activity and what it means. I've also had experiences in my club since then where I've gone, inclusion, not so sure that was an inclusive meeting or conversation, but it's the same one we've had for many, many months and years in the club. But I'm like, we just get into these habits of living our lives unknown and ignorant and not trying to be non-inclusive, but just kind of morphs into that. So my hope is that if I'm having those kind of moments, just having conversation around inclusion in Pathways, maybe us going out there and having this conversation in clubs, 48 clubs, maybe starts also getting some eyebrows raised on, maybe I need to be thinking about this and how do I find out more? So to Aberon's point, if we get that conversation going amongst all the clubs, that's going to be terrific.
Justin?
If I could just add, and you alluded to it, when people do say diversity, you're right, defense mechanisms go up with folks, and it seems that we're in a world where simple decency is not considered an apolitical notion anymore. And I think that some chapter leaders are going to have challenges as they try to carry the water for Rotary to their clubs. And so we're going to need a good drumbeat from leadership to where this isn't perceived by local individuals in clubs as being some mamby-pamby initiative is what the verbiage would usually switch it to. It's political, it's perceived and marketed as some sort of political agenda when it's not. It's just simply, hey, Rotary has a bigger mission. This goes back to our roots. And this is the natural progression of an organization that has a global nature and a noble intent. And so if I could just make sure that I hit the point that leaders should feel empowered to pursue this as aggressively as we need to, but that it's going to take top cover. It's going to take a drumbeat from you guys, and you guys are going to have to be able to permeate down to the grass, the deck plates, as we used to say in the Navy, right? This message is going to have to not be heard just from presidents and leaders in the local clubs, but it's going to have to permeate from multiple angles, because it's going to be perceived harshly, and we're going to have to accept that while it's going to allow us to grow and grow in the right ways, we're going to have some shrinkage in some areas as well, I think.
You're absolutely right. And early on, the governors and I have worked on this since day one. And what are we going to do? And it started with a meeting that I attended as district governor official visit, when I was told that Rotary firmly has its head in the sand when it comes to the issues of diversity, equity, inclusion. And the person said, that's right. Because the only thing I had early on was the word tolerance. And tolerance is wrong. And Harry, we've talked about this before. When we first met with Pathways, we talked about this a lot. Now, we waited until after the elections to start our Pathways because it was just too emotionally charged. We couldn't do it. And we realized that if we did anything top down, it would be rejected, Justin, just as you said. It's got to be started at the club. It's got to start at individuals in the club. And individuals in the club have got to experience and know what it means to be included and excluded. And that's why we did it this way. And as we said, it's a long-term investment. All the governors are committed to making Pathways the future of in this district. And we are unique. Our district has done it differently than any other district, certainly of the 31 in zones 33 and 34. Others have started the top down and make statements, and that we didn't. And early on, I let folks know that we're not doing it that way. We've got a council of leaders, and we're going to start with our members and work at the club and work it up. It's only that way we're going to do it. Lynn, did you have something?
Yes, I just wanted to say I'm grateful to have the opportunity to serve on the council, and it's just really educated me quite a bit. And one of the things I wanted to add is in keeping with what Rotary needs to do, but what Paul Harris said, that we need to be able to adapt. I think this is important work in being sure that we are a good fit for future Rotarians, because we're doing this work, but people in other spaces, at their jobs, at their churches, they're also getting involved in similar conversations, and we don't want to be left behind on that. So I agree, the work is going to be tough, and it's going to take ingenuity on our parts and approaching it from the right angles, especially with our club. And I'm just happy to be a part of it. And I'm confident that we'll just get a lot of good things done.
Andreas?
Yeah, cultural intelligence is one of those topics that needs to be developed across the board. This is the ability to adapt to the information that we receive. That means that, things like mindfulness, temperance, the ability to, show restraint and to, again, take a step back, as we should anytime that we hear anything that may be of conflict, and take a step back and try to understand what is the message coming our way. This applies to someone hearing the word diversity. Instead of reacting adversely, we should just say, okay, what is it what does it really mean? And understand one thing in particular is that you said that our district is very different. We do things differently because we are different. We are a melting pot. Orlando has become, and all of the surrounding counties and so on, we're very diverse. And diversity doesn't just apply to race and ethnicity or religion. It applies also to age. It applies to so many different dimensions that we have to be considering, and understand that the work that we're doing here is actually going to probably at some point, like so many other things we've done in our district, it is going to really set the stage for many other districts around us.
I agree. Anyone else? Okay, well, if you have questions, comments, please let us know. Any of the council members, any of us, let us know. I don't think we've ever met a bad idea that we haven't been willing to try. So we're open, Semper Gumby applies here also. So,
Mike, Barry had a comment.
yes, sir.
Yeah, well, it can easily just roll over into my comments anyway, but as
Good.
long as I'm up now, I will say this is absolutely one of the most important things I think that we as leadership can support. And it's very, very important that everybody understands that even though we're the governor string is on the advisory council, if you wish, we are not pulling any strings. This is not top down. It is intended. We are there to facilitate only, and not to provide input or direction. All that is provided by this committee, and it's very interesting. The invocation I chose this morning was really as a result of my thoughts about this, our Pathways program. And interestingly enough, both Avron and Greg, the co-chairs of the committee, sent me appreciative comments and about the selection of that. And so I just, this is probably the single most important thing I think we can do in our district over the next several years. And we, as it is right now, 4 white gentlemen aren't the ones that need to be controlling this. It's this committee.
Barry, before you go, I think Sue Bodenner had a comment. Sue, did you have a comment?
And Maria,
I just wanted
There you
to
are.
share that the Villages Evening Club started a book club related to this topic as a means to try to understand history that we were both unaware of, and unaware of implications of some history. And it's engaged some of our members, but it also has engaged non-members. It's been a real interesting way to approach the topic.
Maria Matos had a comment too.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yes. Hi. I just want to say that I've been honored to be part of this Pathways Council. I'm from the Poinciana Rotary Club, the president there. And I have to say our club is very diverse and what have you. It's just a very small club, but I think we also just need to educate all of our clubs on diversity, inclusion, and all of the above. And we also need to listen. We need to listen, take notes of what everybody says. And if we see anything, we have to address it. Like Poinciana Rotary Club now is starting to get younger people. I'm 50, I'm the president. My daughter's 19 and she just became a member as well in January, February, I believe. So that's a good thing. Like we're moving along in the right direction. And I have no problem, excuse me, anything to address it to my club. And I think everybody needs to address it to their club. And anything we find, we got to bring it to the table and help each other out. But I've been honored. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, panel. I've been honored to be part of this.
Thank you, Maria. Not to embarrass you, but our former New York City police person, Maria, has had surgery just recently and is still in the hospital recovering, and joined us this morning from the hospital. So I think that is certainly extra credit work. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you so much, Mike. That's why I have my video off. I don't want you all to see me like this, but I'm here. I've been listening, and thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, Barry.
Yeah, well, thank you again, Mike, and everybody for this, all those who are attending this morning. I just want to talk a few minutes about what some of my plans are for the upcoming year and thoughts and so forth, starting with what I just said about the Pathways program. And that's the centerpiece of what I want to see happen in our district. First of all, I am looking forward to a year putting COVID behind us and getting out in the club visits in person. I apologize to Mike Vernon that he suffered through this year without the ability to do so. And I know everybody missed him being there in person, and I know he missed being there in person as well. And it's my goal to meet every club individually and personally and just have a conversation with the club. So I'm really looking forward to that, as well as fellowship in so many other areas. And I'm going to talk about that in a bit. Next is also, as previously mentioned, Dick Harris will be our district service chair in the coming year, assisting in food gathering and distribution through the district to ease the food insecurity that runs so deep in our own backyard. So my goal, and I think it's a very doable, and it's a stretch goal, but I think it's doable, is to provide 1 million meals or meal equivalents in the upcoming year. And with Dick's help and so many other people helping with this, I think that's an achievable goal, but it's also a stretch goal. And so it would roughly triple what we've done this year, but it's with the backing of the focus of our service being around that this coming. I also want to, and this goes back to one of my first interviews is for a district governor. I want to promote multi-club projects and activities. I think the more we do together, the better off we all are. We gain the fellowship from that. We learn, we get to know other Rotarians who are our neighbors in many cases. And I think there are many ways to do that. First of all, again, in this food insecurity program, there are so many opportunities for several clubs to get together and have a one-day drive and get better PR for it, as well as activity as a result of it. So I think that's one thing that we can really do very well. Just creating local projects. Just recently, the Sanford Noon Club put in a butterfly garden at one of the local parks, and planted plants that will draw butterflies, which there's so many good reasons to attract butterflies. But Doris Obremski is the expert on that, and I would refer any questions on that to her. But I mean, that's just a simple example of what can be done. But that can be done in a much larger fashion if we do it through multiple clubs. And many clubs are in the same general areas and can do some things that will put a Rotary stamp on those things. Next thing, and this is another just an example of things I've been thinking of for some time. We have 9 clubs in Seminole County alone, and we're in a fairly small geographic area. And I'd love to see our clubs get together and join forces to create some kind of a stamp on the community as part of perhaps the new Rolling Hills Park that is going to be replacing the Rolling Hills golf course. And we could put in a Rotary pavilion or a playground or both. And if we started, for example, with a Rotary pavilion, we could add on from year to year after that with playground equipment and many things like that. But that's just an example. I mean, I live in Seminole County, so that's where my local thinking is. But we all have opportunities to do that. Regarding foundation, of course, I'm going to be putting some emphasis on that. Alex Sakharov, our district foundation chair, and I will focus on the pride and the satisfaction we should take in the local and global grants that we support and the donations it takes to create the DDF to create those things. I want people to understand what has been accomplished through those things, not just, twist arms and say, hey, it's a good idea to do good in the world. But I want people to see examples of what we have done and take some ownership and pride in having done that. And I think that will bring us to a higher level of foundation support. And I think that's something that we all benefit from. And finally, in membership, George Stewart has already started with this, and as was mentioned earlier, he will be our membership chair to focus on rebuilding our district membership, especially due to some of the issues we experienced with COVID. But we want to, I'm looking at this next year as a non-COVID year, barring changes in the environment, and we want to get back to normal, and we want to put a focus on membership. I think I've mentioned in previous assemblies and so forth that our Rotary International President-elect, Shaker Mehta, has a mantra of each one bring one. That means each Rotarian commit within the next year to bring one new Rotarian into Rotary. Now, think about what that would accomplish. We have roughly 1.2 million Rotarians today. What if we brought in another 1.2 million Rotarians in the next year? That's 2.4. Now, we know we're going to lose people. Let's just say we lost 250,000. We're still over 2 million members. Again, that's a stretch goal, but it's such an easy one to accomplish. I mean, if there's anybody on here that tells me they don't know anybody that should be a Rotarian and doesn't take the action to do that, then I want to have a sit down. I just think it's such an easy way to approach this. And again, I don't expect realistically that we're going to double our membership in the next year globally, but we can make a stab at it. And what if we only got half of that? That's 1.8 million. We have an opportunity to serve not only locally, but globally. Let's all help do that. So with that, I'll take any questions anybody has. Or comments. You can tell me I'm nuts, that's okay.
Great job. I think it's an exciting year, Barry. I envy you getting out and being with clubs because I sure have missed one-to-one personal activities. Trying to make up for it now, but probably won't make it. Any questions for our DGE?
I do see one in the chat box that's the chat box about when will I start the club visits? Well, that'll take place starting after July 1st, and I'm in the process of getting a calendar together so we can all agree on the dates that'll be.
The rumor is that the DGE takes bribes, and the earlier you get in with a nice gift, the chances are you'll get the date you want. I think that Dennis Vecchia taught me that as treasurer. He said you always have to look for a bribe first and then see what you can do. Right, Dennis?
Okay, well, let me just qualify that because I want to follow the four-way test. Okay, so I will accept bribes in the form of donations to the foundation. Let's do it that way.
That's the only kind of bribes I accept.
All right, this is George Stewart. What about the bribe I gave you? Do I get it back now?
Nah.
No.
Okay. Well, now it's time for club presidents. The floor is open. Thank you, club presidents, for keeping your clubs together. You folks have done a marvelous job. I just saw Randy Bayless' name popped up here also, and he just had surgery and is probably hopefully at home and recovering. It seems to be the season for surgery. So keep recovering. That's wonderful. Club presidents, what would you like to talk about?
Mike, if I might follow up.
Yes, sir.
For among the club presidents, as we launch our food security program coming up, I'm going to be looking for either club presidents, president-elects, or someone who is really enthusiastic about help coordinating the clubs in the area in which they are a member of a club, so that we can actually have a structure where we have kind of a pyramid of people helping bring everything together so that we coordinate well and we have local people doing the things that work best for them.
Thank you, Dick. And I also want to, and I see Tim Treat kind of rolling up to his computer right now, but I want to thank Tim for kind of monitoring the production of the meals and the gathering of meals and so forth over the last year or so for the zone initiative of 10 million meals each year. Again, I think that honestly, I just think 1 million meals is just not out of the question at all for our district. And Tim, I want to thank you for your help in doing that and continuing to do that going forward.
How about club presidents? I know Lynn's there, Gay, Randy, Dick spoke, Ardell's out there. I'm going through the list to see who's there and who would like to make a contribution. David Romano's on. This is the time.
I'll share.
Oh, there's Kathy. Good.
Hey, I'm from Kissimmee West. Your leadership, Mike, has been so impressive this year. I want to thank you. Your ability and offering to communicate to all the members and give them opportunities. They can pick it up or leave it, but they know about it, about what's going on in the district. And it's very much appreciated. And the leadership team you've put together, you old white guys, you truly will change the future of Rotary. Listening to the younger white guys comment about their shift in perspective, I don't know anybody else who has done that this year. The wedges have just pushed people apart. My liberal friends cannot believe I'm in Rotary, and I come back and go, get out of your silos. These people do good work and you need to be involved. And where you're taking it is just, I mean, I've got chills. Thank you very much, all you leadership people.
Thank you. It's club presidents that make this happen. It's club members that make these things happen. I'm going through this. Ruth Jones is on there. Of course, Maria's there. Kathy. Whom else? Dave goes on. I'm surprised that one of the club presidents sent me a personal message and asked one of the questions that, look, I'll be more than happy to do individually. I won't mention who that might be, but she's in the evening club. But anyhow, other than that, Sean, I know you're there. Who else have I missed?
Can I go again?
You can go as much as you want.
Okay.
For another bribe.
Anything.
That takes another bribe.
Uh-oh.
I'm in her debt already. I mean, I owe her.
I was about to say, I'm in arrears. But I just wanted to thank the leadership because, I mean, I just emailed Mike because I'm confused about something that's just so simple, and he gets right back to me and we get everything sorted out. So it's really been an inspiration to me, Mike, and how to just soldier through this COVID year. None of us expected to, the things that happened to happen, but it was really inspiring to see you charge on and inspiring me to just say, no, we're going to keep meeting. We're going to do whatever we can, but we have to stay together as a club. And just a shout out to my club, a little over 50 years old, the first breakfast club in Rotary, and just full of a lot of committed people that made the club what it is today. We do some fantastic things for scholarships and grants and all that groundwork. We still have some founding members there, some of white guys that really got a lot of good done, and it's just a pleasure to be in my club. We're on this Pathways to Understanding commission together, and there's some things that we can learn from my club about inclusivity. So I'm glad we're taking that direction because they are a welcoming club, and I just can't say enough. So I'll stop here.
It's leadership that counts. What I really miss doing is I wish I could just be with every club president and spend a day. I really, really miss doing that. If I could change one thing this year, that's what I'd do. It's just spend more time with club presidents and clubs because I grow so much. I learn so much. You guys are just absolutely superb. So thanks. Who else? Other club presidents. I know that you're out there. Randy Bayless, this is a first that you haven't taught. You see, he's still on mute. Maybe he'll come back.
See, not
Mike?
really on at all. He just wants
Oh,
everybody to
okay.
think he is.
Ruth.
Mike,
Yes, ma'am.
this is Ruth at Lake County Golden Triangle.
Hi, Ruth.
I just think Larry Dolan has done a great job of keeping the presidents in our group together. We've had telephone conferences every month. And Cindy Ciosi has been such a blessing in terms of her communication. We've also appreciated your presence, of course, Mike, at, the weekly meetings. But I think the fact that there's the opportunity to talk with people. My club in the past has been fairly isolated, and getting involved with the president's meetings on Mondays has given us really good ideas, which, some we have stayed with and some we have done, but just done it in a different way. So I would encourage little, clusters of that. It's helped me so much. And I want to thank you, Mike, for your leadership weekly, and then Larry monthly, and Cindy almost every day I've been at her door. So it's just been a good year because of the three of you. Thank you so much.
That's great. Thank you. Randy Bayless, I see your hand is up.
Hey, Mike.
How you feeling?
I'm a little sore, but
Yeah.
that's it. But I'm nowhere near in the same class that the lady you said who's calling from the hospital. That's a whole different level of commitment, I think. Listen, I just want to, thank everyone. The other clubs in my area who we've done collective food drives. We decided we were going to take a break from what would have been the next quarter because there was a little bit of fatigue among people. And, but I think we'll be back in motion come third quarter. And we've had some great cooperation. And I think for us, that's been a big step forward for the 7 or 8 of us who are together this year, because I believe there have been some previous, but this was the first time that anybody could remember that it was sort of one success after another. So, but it's a mix. We have at one end of the scale is Ruth Jones Golden Triangle, which is on an annual basis because they've somehow convinced the fire department to come in and be their that big horse to ride on, and the other of us are chugging along doing one every 6 months. A couple of us are doing 3 a year. So it's a mix, but I see it as a regular part of our Rotary business going forward. But thank you all. And Mike, I just got to say, I'm not an old Rotarian. I'm relatively new, but I think you've exhibited extraordinary leadership this year under particularly, not just because of COVID, but the handicap you've had on not being able to visit. So kudos to you. And Barry, you got big shoes to follow. But I understand you wear a size 16 Triple E, so I guess they'll come down on us too. Everyone have a great weekend.
Thanks, Randy. I'm glad you're feeling better. Anyone else? AGs, anybody? PEs? The floor is open before we begin.
Benjamin
Ben,
has something.
Ben.
Yeah, good morning. We all have been used to this pandemic and working so much from our own homes, those of us that have a business. Sometimes we really don't know which day we are in. We are so glad that Michael comes and says, today is Friday. And then he looks at the camera and we see his eyes rotating. That is a very good sign. Appreciate that. In our club, Mainland Club, we did a lot of projects, small ones, but adding up, they become a big number for our club. Service projects or service activities. We, for example, did the sharing center quite a few times. We raised some good money and we did a global grant for it. Now, our efforts are now focusing on 2 global grants. One that has been stalling because one of the major donors bailed out. And so that club, our host club, is working very hard, even selling bottles of water at $10 each. And they are still getting some more money. And we also have another project coming in for the Cali Norte in Colombia. And I take advantage of this opportunity to let our club's colleagues that I will be sending some requests for DDFs for next year. So thank you so much. I believe that we as a Rotary Club, we have done a lot of work, a lot of good for our communities and for the rest of the world.
You have, and you always have. Anyone else before we move on to our memorial service? Mr. Harris.
District Governor Mike, as we move towards concluding, this Rotary year and what has been a very tough and trying pandemic year, we want to take a few minutes to honor Rotarians from the past 2 years who have passed away.
Very much, Don and Rich. I think each of us saw a lot of faces there. A lot of people we remember, and a lot we miss. So thanks for doing that. We're going to do the four-way test. And please stay with us. At the end, we're going to listen to the words of "Let there be peace on earth." And if you would, carry the words and the tune and the memories from today and the ideas with you. Certainly keep them in your head and keep them in their heart. And to all of you, for being Rotarians, and thanks for making a difference in someone's life every day. And so, until we meet again, be safe, have fun, and stay healthy. And of the things we think, say, and do, is it all right? Is it the truth? Is it fair
to all concerned?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And will it be fun?
Is it fun? And so with that, please.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, we are family. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, may this be my soul on vow. To take each moment and live each moment with peace with
Thank you to everyone. And now may you go in peace. Thanks for being Rotarians.
Thank you.